So police have identified the shooter at Brown University and the shooter and the murderer of the MIT professor. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We know something about him, but we don't know any motive. He was 48 years old. He was a Portuguese national. And apparently there was somebody, this guy is really, really brave. They cracked the case because there was somebody that posted up on Reddit that you should investigate this rented gray Nissan with Florida plates. And apparently he was in Providence, and somebody noticed this guy kind of just being weird and dressed inappropriately for the weather. And so he was acting weird, and he's like, what are you doing here? And the guy's like, the shooter was like, why are you hassling me? And so he kind of backed off, but he watched him. And what happened was he went to his car, then circled his car, and then I guess went around the block for a while. And that's when the guy went, what are you doing? Why are you here? And so instead of calling cops, he didn't know necessarily, just thought that was really weird, talked about it on Reddit. And when he spoke about it on Reddit, I don't know how that was flagged, but it was flagged and the FBI saw it and they started checking out this Nissan. And that's how they tracked him. And they found him in some storage unit that he had rented. And he had already switched plates. I mean, the guy was really good at what he was doing, but it was well thought out.
Yeah, going back to November, he was checking into area hotels and stuff. This is something he had on his mind, I guess, a very, very long time. You usually see this as someone who is either going to the school or maybe had previously had a bad incident over the past year. Right. He returns to the school to get revenge or whatever. This guy's 48. He's talking he's also involved in the MIT professor murder. And
they went to school together, right, at Brown?
Yeah, they went to school together all these years ago. So who knows? This is a dark world. I don't know. So many people have lost connection to any sort of foundation of positivity in their lives, I feel like, at this point. That's a scary place to be. I mean, to me, indicates potential for severe mental illness. Who knows? But doesn't seem to be like a political motive per se.
Also could be a guy, because he went to school between 95 and 2000, I think, in Portugal. He studied physics at the Instituto Superior Técnico. I mean, what kind of education you get into a school name with something dumb like that,
That white supremacist supreme right in the name of the school. Yet another white supremacist from Portugal.
Right, right. So he went to school in Lisbon for 4 or 5 years. Then he came to Brown, and so he was, there for a while. That's where he studied with the professor. That's why apparently he shot up. That was one of his classrooms. And I'm wondering because it does nowhere in the story does it say what he did for a living. And so I'm wondering if here's a guy who went to school for 20 years and then had no job, sees one of his classmates that, you're not that great, who's working now at MIT. He's pissed at the school because he didn't get his way. I mean, this is complete conjecture with absolutely nothing to base it on. And then, so kills his former classmate who, was always thought he was smarter than me. I mean, this is how I would write the movie. And I would, and then he went back in because he's going to show Brown, they wrecked my life and I don't have a job. Could be. I mean, he might have had a good job, but it's not in the story anywhere. Have you seen it anywhere?
I haven't seen it anywhere, but as you're doing that, it reminds me, this makes me think of The Torch and everything coming that you're going to be doing next year, in that this is your brain. This is how you think when you come up with a scenario. There's like 15 fictional movies that come into your brain that you want to piece it all together. And now with all the stuff that you're building at the Torch, like that stuff's going to be doable for you. I don't know how long that's going to take. It's going to take a while. But building these stories from scratch and some of them that connect to history and some of them, I mean, I think it's going to be really an interesting
Well, I won't
future.
be telling stories like that. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be making up stories on, okay, conspiracy theorists, this is what happened. I mean, I just made that one off the top of my head.
I know, but
and
I'm not saying that was one of your best ideas, but I will say, what I will say is that, I mean, you're a best-selling fiction author, right? I mean, this is not, you don't, I mean, yes, you do history and yes, you do a lot of different things, but you also have written great stories about how, the world that we live in and the things that are going on, the real developments in real life, the real groups that exist, the real ways things are put together, can come together in a story that illustrates the point, but is really entertaining. And being able to kind of take that to a new level, I think is going to be really fascinating.
So this guy, think how prepared this guy was. He used a phone, and he had altered it or something where it masks his location. He got credit cards not under his name. He was really good at hiding his tracks. And, when they said some students, remember, they said he screamed out Allah Akbar. Apparently now people are saying, I think he was barking. Well, they don't sound the same. I mean, I've never heard my dog and turn around and went, did you just say Allah Akbar?
Our dog is in Hamas.
Right. And and if you're barking, that might be a sign of the guy was completely out of his mind. The other thing I find interesting, Stu, speaking of stories, again, I'm just making up this story. This is not, please.
I told you.
If you're a future jury member, forget I ever said any of this, because this is just me, thinking out loud. But what's interesting to me is how many of these people they go and do something and then they kill themselves. Why? Why are they doing that? Why do they kill themselves? Remember, it used to be a thing, killed by cops, suicide by cops.
Cop, yeah.
Right. That's not happening. Now people go out and they do these horrible things, and then they turn the gun, boom, on themselves. Let me just give you a couple of scenarios, see if any of these sound familiar. You saw Steve Dace's movie, Nefarious?
Yeah, it came out, 2 years ago?
2 years ago, maybe?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so in Nefarious, Satan has possessed this guy. And once in a while, Satan lets him come out, and the guy's like, help me, please, help me. He's trapped, in there. And then Satan takes control of him again. And what happens, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm going to wreck it. He kills himself, okay? He kills himself. Let me take you to Batman. Remember, Joker has control of all of these people. They're all sick. And he's convinced them to do different things, all the way from robbing the bank in the opening scene. And then when that bus goes through the front doors and they've got all the money, they load it all in. And then Joker just shoots all of them because he's done with them. He's just using them. He's done with them. Also, I talked to a guy who had jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't know if you remember this. He was on the air, and he had this fascinating story, and he was bipolar, and he heard voices. And he was standing on the bridge, he told me, and he said, all I heard in my head was, jump, you got to jump, kill yourself, you got to jump. He said he climbed over the fence, and the moment he let go, the voices stopped. And he's falling, and he's like, what have I done? Okay? I'm so fascinated by how evil is playing all of its cards right now, and because I think, unlike any time before in my lifetime, you can see this is evil. There is a force that seems to be sweeping the entire world. All of these people do these horrendous things, and then they shoot themselves. And I don't know. It's almost as if evil is playing with these people, getting them to do all of this horrible, horrible stuff. And then when they expect their fame, their fortune, their reward, or whatever, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself. Boom, they kill themselves because they're just a meat puppet of evil. And they're of no use to evil. They've done their job. You're not getting anything. I'm going to destroy you, too. Does that make sense at all? You know what I'm saying?
I just want to point out that you were calling me a Debbie Downer earlier in the program. And just I want to make sure people understand.
No, I'm just, no, I'm not.
I see what you're saying. I think sometimes it's interesting because that kind of ties into the way sometimes I think about it, because I think the best movies about evil often show some sort of human side. Like, it's easy to create a character who's just like nonstop robot for, despair, right?
Correct.
And in reality, I think even the worst people, most of the worst people that we've ever seen have had plenty of moments where they didn't think that way about themselves, or hung out with their families and had good times and all these different real regular life things. And I always picture the person in this scenario being, hyper focused on doing this horrible thing and thinking of it almost like a task. Like, I want to build a deck, right? They're out there just trying to figure out the steps to do it, and they're maniacal in that focus on getting that thing done. And at some point after it's done, do they have that human moment where they realize, oh my God, I'm a monster?
What have I done?
Yeah. I'm a monster. I've done this terrible thing. Like, I was so focused on achieving this thing that I didn't stop to think about, what was actually happening. And in that moment, what do you do, right? You can go out there and surrender and live the rest of your life in torture about the thing you've done, or you kill yourself. I think that might be where they get sometimes.
And I think that we're kind of saying the same thing. You're expressing it more in human terms, but it's like, if you've ever had a goal of doing something, you're like, this is going to make me happy. This is going to make me happy. I'm going to score with this girl, and I'm going to be happy. I'm going to, get that promotion, and then I'm going to be happy. And then you're not happy. It's kind of like that. I'm going to build this deck. I'm going to kill these guys. I'm going to build this deck. And that's going to make me happy. And once I do that, my life is going to be wonderful. And then you do, and you're like, oh, that's not it. What have I done?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting, I'd love it. Maybe next year, because this is going to be around for a while, maybe we can talk to some psychiatrist or psychologist that can kind of explain why that's happening, what is happening, and how, because there are a lot of sick people, a lot of people who have been twisted by the lies saying, you'll never make it, or in the other direction, twisted by the lies that you can't do it. You need this to make you happy. And that's an absolute lie. And I wonder how much of that is played into all of this.